In this video, we're going to show you how to shoot down the bus on Fortnite Battle Royale. Yes, this is one of the most exciting and adventurous things that has ever been done in the game Fortnite. And while the rest of the internet was busy watching Tom Brady win the Super Bowl for the 7th consecutive year in a row, I actually don't watch football, so I have no idea if that's true. We were busy finding new Easter eggs in Epic Games' Fortnite Battle Royale. And yes, before we get started in today's video, please, we have a like goal set up for it. We're gonna need to have 2,513 likes. And if you don't know, now you know. Also, if you're new around here, consider subscribing, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the bell icon and select push notifications. That way you get all my videos sent directly to your feed. Anyway, my friends, I hope this Super Bowl Sunday has been going exceptionally well for you. It has for me. I had this amazing Fortnite gameplay. I've been waiting on this just to show you guys something that has never been done in Fortnite Battle Royale. At least I've seen other streamers try. Nobody's even attempted to do this, but we managed to do it. And yes, I will be teaching you in this video how to shoot down the Battlebus. It's possible, it's definitely doable. However, it is probably the most trickiest and hardest thing anyone can do in the game. Now, if you know the Battlebus and how Fortnite works, the Battlebus is how people get deployed onto the map. It's a giant bus attached to a hydrogen balloon, highly flammable, that propels itself across the map, dropping players off at various destinations. It follows a straight flight path across from one part of the map to the other, on which a timer counts down, at which point players can elect to drop at any of the locations down below. Now, the significance of the Battlebus is that it's always sort of out of reach. No one ever thinks, oh, I should shoot down the Battlebus. I'd be able to shoot it down, but it is actually a destructible target on the map. And doing so can actually yield a lot of kills early on. What you can do if you destroy the Battlebus early on is take down a huge portion of the enemy players on the map, which actually goes to show how great it is a feature to be done and how hard it is to actually accomplish. See, most players won't ever get the opportunity to shoot down the Battlebus, and it's very difficult with conventional weapons. Thankfully, in my gameplay where I did get to manage to happen, we were playing on heavy explosives where this is almost universally possible. If you play it on conventional Fortnite Battle Royale modes, you're going to find yourself with a very strange variety of weapons that are at your disposal. However, most of them are fairly useless in accomplishing this. Shotguns have absolutely no range in terms of being able to hit the bus. The Scar, unfortunately, doesn't have enough range. A sniper rifle may potentially have enough range to do so. However, what the key weapon to taking down the bus all hinges upon is the RPG rocket launcher. If you have a rocket launcher, this suddenly becomes a viable option for you if you're playing the game. Now, a lot of players can't do this simply because they possess not enough skill as a player. They're too inept in their landing or deploying properly, or they're just not skilled enough. Maybe they're too busy streaming or something to actually do so. But it's definitely possible, and what you're going to have to pay specific attention to is the flight pattern on the map. You see, Battlebus on average from a west to east conventional flight path is around 25 seconds. Now, that is not enough time for you to land and shoot down the bus in a matter of seconds. It's simply not enough time. The bus will be out of range. However, the best flight path is the diagonal one, because the diagonal flight paths take advantage of a larger section of the landmass and take longer to go across, from either the northeast quadrant to the southwest quadrant, or the southeast to northwest. Whatever permutation of flight path they're in, the diagonal ones take 37 seconds to cross the map, which, given the average fall speed, if you're able to fall into a higher elevated area, warrants you enough time to pick up a weapon and actually shoot down the bus. So it is possible if you get on these diagonal facing flight paths for the battle bus. This is all RNG, so it's completely luck based, more so than skill based. However, skill does take a huge portion of it. Deploying correctly on the right flight path, getting the right weapon at the right time, knowing where the loot chests are, and taking the shot at the correct angle are all the factors that go into this. So it's actually very much more complicated than playing the game conventionally. The next factor is what flight locations, or rather landing locations, are actually viable to shoot down the bus. You see, from our diagonal flight paths, we can now narrow it down to basic positions on the map. The center of the map, as indicated in this red outline, is actually not viable to land in. Unfortunately, this is most of the map, and there are some elevated positions here, such as Big Dick Mountain, as it's called by some people, and there's a lot of flat areas too towards the eastern section and in Loot Lake, which would allow you to see the battle bus and provide you ample room to shoot it down should you find the weapon. The dilemma here is these positions are so inward bound on the map and not on the outlying portion that by the time the battle bus gets within range for you to deploy correctly and fast down directly, it would, by the time you reach the ground, be out of range, and all of the combatants would have left the battle bus or been forced out of it by the time you reach the ground. You see, there simply isn't enough time for you to land correctly in these areas, even though they might be viable in terms of having better weapons and more coverage for you to fire from than other positions on the outlying section of the map. Now, in the bottom corner here, we're going to focus on Flush Factory. A lot of you are probably thinking, oh, Flush Factory is fairly highly elevated, I could land to that quickly. However, the major problem with Flush Factory, and it's also on a diagonal flight path, the surrounding mountain structure and actual elevation of the landscape. You see, the land around Flush Factory is actually taller than the factory itself. What this means is if you land in Flush Factory and happen to pick up a rocket launcher, you'll have a limited viewing section of the bus where it will be overhead. In fact, it most likely will be gone by the time you land, and possibly towards the other end of the map by the time you land, which means it'll be obfuscated by the mountains above you. See, the mountains being higher than Flush Factory's tallest point means that you can't shoot beyond them, and they block your vision. Essentially, they're blocking your shot for shooting at the battle bus. Another viable contender is Moisty Mire, literally the opposite side of the map, and what Moisty Mire presents in its whole section of problems is very similar to how Flush Factory is at taking down the bus. While this does present you the diagonal landing strip you want, that 30-second timer of bus time in the air, the problem with Moisty Mire largely is in the mountain range that surrounds it, which is which direction the bus would be flying through. So the mountain range and hills would obfuscate your vision from being able to shoot it down since you're not in a flat land area. Secondly, the large trees present another problem because now you have a canopy above your head, which also limits your vision, and the mud would prevent your travel from getting you to a flatter ground area. Not that you'd have enough time. Either way, if you landed in Moisty Mire, you would be presented with many many problems. The only viable area I've found so far, however, isn't that far from Moisty Mire, and it simply is the prison. Why I selected the prison over the other areas? Well, actually fairly close to the coastal region of the map. If you get that diagonal flight path, you can basically jump immediately from Moisty Mire, where the bus is, and land it in the prison, whereupon which on the rooftops there are weapons spawning. The prison always spawns ample weapons, and in the heavy explosives playlist, it's potentially going to spawn you the rocket launcher on rooftops as opposed to having to go to the chests inside. This saves you time on the ground because you don't have to look around for a weapon or go looking into chests. And because the area of which the bus flies over is all low-lying marshland and flatland, there's nothing to obfuscate your vision. You essentially have a direct shot as far as you can go at shooting the battle bus down. The only viable other area is the loot mountain, as people call it, which has a single chest and 3 rocks on it. As this is a higher elevated position, you can probably land here faster than most places. The Lonely Lodge was okay, but the drops there aren't that good. Same with Loot Mountain. The only other place that seemed to be very well is the wooden structure at the very northeastern part of the map, where in which you could get a long line of sight for the bus and have ample chests and or weapons spawning for you to shoot it down. Anyway, here's the successful run. We managed to do it at the prison, and without further ado, here we go. As you can see, we have that ample flight time battle bus path, Moisty Mire across to the other side to Junction. I'm going down on the Christmas heavy explosive playlist, dropping at the prison. And as you see, I land and immediately pick up the rocket launcher. I'd simply aim for where the battle bus is and fire. And there you go. 11 kills with 1 rocket. You can't even get better gameplay than this. I took down the battle bus in Fortnite. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Remember our like goal, 2,513. Also, subscribe, youtube.com/McChalla Industries. All the greatest Fortnite videos on YouTube right now. And hit the bell icon, please, and join the notification squad. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much. How to shoot down a battle bus. We did it. Guinness World Record.